Hi there, so it's Robert Giorgione for robertgiorgione.com. I'm here with Jason Haynes, who's the director of Flint Wines. I've known him for a few years now. He used to be working for O.W. Lowe, great wine merchant in London. So, hi there Jason, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks, very well.
Good, so tell us about Flint Wines, what are you up to?
Well, we're in our 5th year now, and progressing nicely, I think. We're slowly expanding the list and continuing to do so. We've just had Garrett come on board in October to help develop the restaurant side of the business. So things are looking good. We're very positive about the future. Taking on new wines, but still concentrating as much as possible on Burgundy, which is our passion. It's what I think we do quite well. But occasionally we're tasting things interesting from other areas. We've just picked up a property in Italy. We weren't particularly looking for one, but funnily enough, one of our Burgundy producers put us onto them. So we're keeping the list fresh and slowly making it more interesting, I think.
That sounds quite interesting. And we're here today at your 2009 En Primeur Burgundy portfolio tasting. So any highlights, anything you want to talk about?
Obviously, I would say there are lots of highlights. I'm being biased. I think so. I think for me it's been really interesting. The whites are not necessarily what people might have expected. There is a danger perhaps with the ripeness of the vintage that the wines might be heavy, a bit cumbersome if you like. And I don't know if it's just because a lot of our growers tend towards the mineral, leaner style, but they seem to have worked quite well in 09. I'm not saying they have a great capacity for longevity, because I think the levels of acidity are still relatively low, but the minerality in the wines actually gives them a really nice freshness. So they have a sense of purity and bite, if you like, even though the acidity levels are relatively low.
Any particular domains or any particular vignerons we should be looking out for? What would be your top tips for the whites?
For the whites, I think Thierry Piot at Domaine Paul Piot has done very well. His style, as I was saying, is very much along the linear, taut element. And he has quite a few vineyards in Chassagne that are particularly well sited and slightly higher up the slope, so they're on very stony soils. So they naturally produce very mineral style wine. So things like Grand Montagne, which is almost up in the forest, has worked really well this year. We have a producer, brand new producer for us, called Gilles Moura in Vergisson in the Mâconnais, and his La Roche wine is again on really stony soil. And I just think that helps a lot in a vintage like this.
Yes, I tasted that one. That was one of the first wines in your lineup, and I was really quite impressed with that, and also very good value for money.
I think so. He makes three different cuvées. That is his top cuvée, but it still comes in at a price that works, I think.
I got the impression that a lot of these wines that you're presenting here today, they were punching a bit above their weight in terms of these lesser known appellations or these village wines. They were really impressive and performing really well. So what's your general overview of 09, and also what's your thoughts on the reds?
I think it is a very exciting vintage. I think it's a vintage where there are very few bad wines. If we look back at a vintage like 2008, particularly for the red wines, which is a vintage I like a lot, but certainly there was a lot of variation between the best wines and the worst wines. And I think in 09 that gap has been closed slightly. So even, dare I say, bad vignerons have perhaps made rather good wines this year. So the minimum quality level is very high, and in that sense I think people can go out and buy 09 Burgundy, be it in a shop or from the merchant or in a restaurant, with a certain degree of confidence, and that's very much a good thing, I think. And of course, certainly the white wines that will come round early as well, so we probably will see them in restaurants in the fairly near future. In terms of red Burgundies,
any top tips or any recommendations you'd like to say?
I think the certain appellations seem to have done really well. I think both Gevrey Chambertin and Louis Saint-Georges have blossomed, and to a certain degree Pommard. And that may be clutching at ideas here a little bit, but the mineral quality of Nuits and Gevrey, with that slightly earthy masculine quality, works really well in a vintage that's lush and sort of expressive as 09 is. it makes a nice contrast. I think they really complement each other very well. So that may be that. I think they both of the growers we've got from Nui and Chevry have performed particularly well. I think Gouge with their new Couvry and with Greg coming on board are doing very exciting things, just getting a little bit more expressiveness into the wines when they're young. And young Pierre Giorgione and Geoffrey Chambertin, I think, is doing very exciting things. He's exactly the sort of grower we like getting on board. He took over from his father in 2005, and he's doing all the right things. He's saying all the right things. He's stopping pumping the juice around his cellar. He's trying to keep the tannins as silky as possible. He doesn't like extraction. He's looking for purity. He's looking for length rather than just sort of width, if you like. And he's done really well. And we've had last year was the first year we showed his wines, and they were very well received then. I think today they've gone down very well. So
thank you, Jason. Thank you very much for your thoughts, and as always, it's a great pleasure. Thanks once again.
Thank you, Rob.